Hey everyone, I'm back. It's been a little while. The end of the semester was kind of crazy, but hopefully some videos coming out soon. Today I'm just going to be taking the 8 values test. Nothing too crazy. Um, I did the political compass test a little while ago, and the 8 values test is known to be better because it measures you on four different axes rather than two. We have the economic axis, which is equality versus market. We have the diplomatic axis, nation versus globe, the civil axis, liberty versus authority, and the societal axis, tradition versus progress. Typically, I land somewhere in the middle in economics, leaning slightly towards markets, leaning slightly towards nation, leaning slightly towards authority, and leaning heavily towards tradition. That's how it usually goes. And also, 8 values typically says that I'm a fascist. So, yeah, do with that what you will. Let's get started. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. I don't know if it's more of a concern, but it's definitely a concern. I'm going to say disagree. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. That is true. I think a lot of people on the right kind of overreact to the left sort of wanting to control everything that corporations do. And as a result of that, they want to basically leave it completely laissez faire, where I don't really agree with that. I think there needs to be some protections implemented by the government to protect consumers. That is true. The freer the markets, the freer the people. I think that is true in general. Like I just said, though, I wouldn't take it all the way to its extreme. I'll say agree. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. I think it depends on what you mean by welfare. Because, like, if you're just lazy, then yeah, the government doesn't really owe you anything because that would mean that the rest of society has to pay for that. But there are people with legitimate cases for welfare that I think it would be extremely unjust for them to be denied that welfare. So I think we can say that ensuring welfare for people who genuinely need it is probably more important than the balanced budget. So I'm gonna go with neutral on this one. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. Um, I don't really agree with that. No, no. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. I think I'm not extremely convicted as far as tariffs go. The new right is very strongly in favor of tariffs. You know, the America First movement. Um, I think that tariffs make a lot of sense, but typically what happens is they just tariff you back, and then everything is just more expensive. So I don't know if it really does what we want it to do. Gosh, go away. Um, let's go with neutral. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Strongly disagree. That is Marxism. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. I don't think they should be abolished. I do think they should be downsized, but I wouldn't say abolished. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. No, no, they pay enough. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Well, what exactly are you going to do instead? Take all the inheritance, give it to the government? What's the alternative? I'll say agree. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. I know roads are publicly owned. Isn't electricity like contracted? I don't know. I'm 20 years old. I don't know anything about economics, okay? Sure. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'll go with agree. Those with a greater ability to pay should receive better health care. Well, they will. Always. I'm not sure what this is really asking. Quality education is a right of all people. I think this word right is one of the most misused words in the English language. People want to have a right to everything, people want a right to everything. They want a right to Taco Tuesday. Rights are a very misused concept. Education is a right. I'll say a college education is definitely not a right of all people. That is not true. But for public school education, which we typically have taxpayer funded, I think you could make that case, but college education is definitely not. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. More Marxism. The United Nations should be abolished. Probably not abolished, but it doesn't really do anything anyway. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. Agree. I support regional unions such as the European Union. I think that regional unions are better than this kind of like global union that we have, so I'm okay with that. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. That is true. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind. Nope. That's the Antichrist in Revelation. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. These are not mutually exclusive. It's peace through strength. That's my philosophy. Peace through strength. Say neutral. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. The only one that we need to justify our war to is God. Okay, I don't care what any other countries think. If the war is just, it's just. If it's not just, it's not just. Disagree. Wait. Agree is what I meant. I thought it was asking if wars did need to be justified. Military spending is a waste of money. That's not true. International aid is a waste of money. That is true. My nation is great. So true. Research should be conducted on an international scale. Sometimes, gosh, these questions are so hard to like. The answers are so black and white here. Let's do agree. Government should be accountable to the international community. In some way, yes. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. Strongly disagree. No. Political. I don't want to get banned off of YouTube, but our country was literally started out of political violence, justified political violence. So it's an important distinction. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Strongly agree because they are true. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. Agree, insofar as they align with Christianity. It is very important to maintain law and order. That is true. The general populace makes poor decisions. Strongly agree. Nothing else needs to be said. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. I'll say disagree because I'm very much opposed to assisted suicide, but I could see the argument for certain cases. I can see the argument. I'm not really sure how far I would be willing to go on that, but definitely should not be how it is used today, where we see it being applied to even children, even people with mental or emotional disabilities or issues. Definitely should not be that way. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. Yes, you don't have freedoms if you're dead. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. No, it really is not. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. That's libertarian propaganda. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. See, I'm not really sure in what sense they're talking about. I agree with siding with my country in that I want my country to be as good as possible. But if my country is committing injustice, it is manifestly wrong for me to support that injustice. So I'm not really sure what they're saying here. I'm just going to say disagree. All authority should be questioned. I agree with that. All authority except for, of course, God should not be questioned. A hierarchical state is best. A hierarchical state is the only natural way for humans to organize themselves, and you can't convince me otherwise. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. That is literally the opposite of what I believe. The stronger the leadership, the better. I agree with that. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. What? No, it's not. What is this? What is this asking? Environmental regulations are essential. I think that certain environmental regulations are essential. I don't believe in quote unquote climate change as we often hear about in today's political discourse. But I do think that there's like pollution and health concerns that even apply to just humans, not even just the environment, but to humans that we should really be taking care of. So I'll say neutral because I do think that there are some necessary regulations. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. Look, science and technology it's a morally neutral tool that depends on the morality of the people using it. And the people using it is the human race, and the human race is evil. So that's why we see such bad uses of technology today. It's not because of the technology. I say neutral. Children should be educated in religious traditional values. Strongly agree. Traditions are of no value of their own. See, here is where things get interesting because it's not really about tradition to me. It's about being right. If the tradition is good, then that's good. If the tradition is bad, then that's bad. As of whether traditions are of value on their own, I think they are of some value on their own because, it is certainly wise to take the counsel of the people who have lived before us. But that does not mean that we ascribe to them the same weight as, say, the Bible, for instance. And that's why I'm not Catholic. Let's go with disagree, soft disagree. Religion should play a role in government. Define religion. It's not the church. The church and the government should stay separate, but Christian morality should inform policy. That's my belief. So, in the way that they mean it, probably strongly agree. Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. Disagree. Climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. No. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. No, the Bible says that the 4 seasons will persist until the end of the world. We're not going to screw up the world. God is in control. Did I answer that correctly? Yes, I did. Society was better many years ago than it is now. This is objectively true. It is important that we maintain the traditions of our past. I agree with that, so long as they are good traditions. It is important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans. Is this another question about climate change that's just hiding from me? I agree with this in principle. I'm going to say I agree, but I think that one's about climate change, honestly. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. See, this is the type of question that's going to move me left for agreeing with it, as if leftism is reasonable. I know what they are asking. I'm just going to say neutral. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. No. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Does not exist. No cultures are superior to others. That is empirically false. Sex outside marriage is immoral. Strongly agree. If we accept migrants at all, it's important that they assimilate into our culture. Yes, that is true. Abortion should be prohibited in most or all cases. Strongly agree. Gun ownership should not be prohibited for those without a valid reason, or should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. No. You don't need a reason to have a gun. There's reasons why you shouldn't, but you shouldn't need a positive reason to buy a gun. I support single-payer universal health care. I do not. It's always worse in all of the countries that use it. Canada, Europe, their healthcare systems suck. Prostitution should be illegal. What the government should do is stay out of healthcare as insofar as it shouldn't be trying to play this middle way between single payer and market, and then the prices will actually go down while keeping a good healthcare system. That's why everything's so expensive, is because of the government trying to be involved where it shouldn't be. Prostitution should be illegal. Strongly agree. Maintaining family values is essential. Strongly agree. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. Progress towards what? We should be chasing progress at all costs. But the way that progress is defined in modern culture is actually regress. See, I know what they're asking. I agree with the statement, but I don't agree with the meaning behind the statement. And that annoys me. I'm going to say neutral. Genetic modification is a force for good even on humans. No. We should open our borders to immigration. They are. They are open to immigration. They should not be open to illegal immigration. That's a very important distinction that always gets mixed up with regular immigration. I think this is trying to say like actually open borders, so I'm going to disagree with it. Governments should be as concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. Then what's the point? All people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally. Strongly agree. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. I love when it just invites you to just be as dogmatic as possible. Strongly agree. All right. Okay, so like I said, leaning slightly towards markets, leaning more towards nation than I expected. That makes sense. Leaning towards status and leaning heavily towards traditional. Right-wing populism. Okay, I didn't get fascism this time. We're doing good. I didn't get fascism. I don't have to worry about the FBI stopping by my house for at least a little while. So, yeah, that's good. But anyway, I thought this would be fun. I've got a few other video ideas that I'm thinking about doing soon, but this is going to be a busy semester, so I don't know how quickly those are going to get out. But anyway, just tell me what you guys get on this test, and if you agree with my answers, or if you thought any of my answers were stupid. Honestly, probably some of them are. Then go ahead and let me know in the comments. And also, make sure to type in all caps so that I know that you're mad. So that way I can engage with you in a civil discussion. But anyway, yeah, that's it.